Hey guys, it's Brian again with another ceiling fan video, and on this week's edition of Stupidly Rare, we have easily the rarest ceiling fan in my collection. This is a 52-inch Energy Reduction Systems American Art Series ceiling fan, or ERS as we call them. It's a very interesting design. Antique brass with I guess you could call that amber slag glass motor housing with a custom floral pattern. Has the Sunbeam style trident blade arms. Original tassel pull chain. And it has walnut blades. These are solid walnut. These were made by a furniture millwork company based out of Ashland, Ohio called Sigafoos that is no longer in business. But they used to make high quality furniture. Now, for those of you who don't know about these fans, there are a few videos of them out there on the internet, put out by a couple of other collectors that own them. This one actually came new in the box from a marketplace listing out in Sandusky, Ohio. When I saw this on Marketplace, I dropped everything that I was doing and I broke the speed limit the entire way out there trying to get this fan because these are major childhood for me. Now, I have owned a couple of these over the years, and there are different variations of these fans that were made, but ERS was such a small outfit that they pretty much made custom fans for whoever ordered them, and they would make them out of whatever was available as far as glass options and motor housings and blades and all that. So this one was actually a custom order fan. And the way you can tell, first of all, here's the box. American Art Series. The fan that's actually on the box is a different motor design. This is the somewhat more common, although they're really not common fans at all, but it has the metal bottom plate. It has the Hunter original style vents. And then on the back is all of the options. This model number is 1026. Antique brass with floral custom glass. It was handwritten because it was never actually something that they intended on offering, apparently, when they made these boxes. However, you can see the other types of glass that they offered for the motor housings. And apparently these came in several different finish combinations, including chrome, which no one has ever seen. I wonder if there's even one out there in the wild that exists, I'll be honest with you. I'll go ahead and show you the paperwork that came with it. Instruction manual. This piece right here. And the original warranty card. Nice thing about this is that it gives you the specs. 225 RPM, 1 amp, weight of 31 pounds. Pretty cool. So back to the fan. Now, for those of you who don't know about these fans, like I said, there are several videos of these on the internet. However, they're extremely rare, number one. Number two, they have a very unique control system. Before we get into that, first of all, as you've noticed, it has the bell canopy that's a two-piece canopy. Instead of, this is the other optional canopy here, which is like a rounded two-piece canopy. The other thing is the reverse switch is on top of the lower canopy. These use a J-hook mounting system, by the way. And then up inside the glass motor housing, first of all, there are 5 sockets with 5 bulbs. Originally had incandescent bulbs, which I replaced with these LED candle style bulbs, 60 watts. They work beautifully. The other thing you'll notice is it has a squirrel cage that is attached to the bottom of the flywheel. So when the fan turns, the squirrel cage directs heat away from the motor from the bulbs. Now, these LED bulbs don't give off as much heat as the incandescents, but still the squirrel cage comes in handy for keeping the bearings preserved. There's the reverse switch right there. And your canopy. I really love this floral design. It's really pretty. Now, back to the controls. First of all, obviously it's a lighted housing fan, but how do you turn the light on? Well, obviously, pull the pull chain. Now you might notice that the actual chain part is attached to this metal rod that goes through the bottom of the fan, and there's no switch housing. The reason for that is this rod is actually a variable speed control, and that stationary rod goes all the way up through the stationary shaft, not stationary rod, but it's attached to a stationary shaft that goes all the way up through there and to a cardboard box variable speed control that's inside the lower canopy. And I will go ahead and demonstrate that here now. We're going to turn it all the way down to the lowest speed. And there she goes. Now, I didn't mess with the trim pot in that cardboard box control. This is a factory set low. A little bit fast for my taste for all the way down on the speed control, but I'm not going to mess with it because, in all honesty, I have this on a 4-speed wall control in here, so it really doesn't make a difference to me. I guess if one day I feel motivated, I can mess with it. However, that lower canopy is kind of a tight squeeze with a bunch of stuff in their capacitors, wiring for the lights, the speed control. It's just kind of something I don't really want to mess with. It does have a pretty audible hum to it on lowest speed with the factory speed control. However, it's moving a pretty nice breeze. Now, there is a childhood story behind these fans. When I was a kid, I wound up at this party for a friend of my family's that my parents took me to, and in their house that I believe was built in the 60s, in the living room, they had one of these. However, it was the other version that has the metal bottom plate on the motor and just the glass sideband and not a solid glass motor housing like this. Now, I could never figure out how to turn that fan on, and I had no idea what it was back then. I thought that maybe the fan wasn't wired up and it was just there for decoration. I had no idea that that is how it was controlled. I kept pulling the pull chain and the light came on and turned off. And they had another one of these in the kitchen that had a factory 4-arm light kit, and again, I could not figure out how to turn it on. So these fans always intrigued me, and I had no idea what they were. Come to find out later, when I started collecting fans, they're ERSs. So I have a very distinct childhood memory of these fans. Now, personally, I prefer this version a little bit more than the one that has the metal bottom plate, just because I just think this is cooler, and it's a little bit more uncommon. Turn it up a little bit. Another thing I wanted to mention is that when I got this fan, well, you know, obviously that it was new in the original box. I'm the first person who's ever installed it. So the original flywheel on this fan pretty much died, for lack of a better term. It grenaded. completely. I had hung this in my bedroom about 2 years ago, and I just put the blades on it and put power to it, and the center spindle on the flywheel completely snapped off. It was so dry rotted after about 45 years of sitting in a box unmoved that this is pretty much what remains of the original flywheel. However, I found out from a fellow collector that this fan, you're able to replace the flywheel and that they are still made. So after a lot of research and some digging around, I found out that Switchco actually makes a flywheel that will fit this fan. It is the F16M flywheel. This uses a 16 millimeter motor shaft. And this is the same flywheel that's used on earlier Casablancas, Homesteads, Tacony or Tacony. Tacony, I'm just going to call it Tacony. Terras, American Industries, and Sunbeam fans. Now, when I saw that Switchco offered this for Sunbeam fans, I immediately knew that it would fit this fan because these blade arms are Sunbeam blade arms. So I put 2 and 2 together. I ordered the flywheel, came in yesterday, and I replaced it. Now, that was not an easy task, mind you. Turn it up a little more. Moving a pretty good amount of air. And that's just vibration going through the blades. Yeah, to take one of these apart and replace the flywheel is a very, very nerve-wracking process because this housing is extremely delicate. And the last thing I want to do is break a rare fan like this, especially a rare childhood fan. But I had always intended on installing this in my bedroom because I have a lot of mid-century modern decor, and this fits in like a glove. Not only that, but the walnut blades actually match my furniture, like perfectly. I really love this motor housing. This is really cool. I'm glad that I have this one because it's one of one. No one else has ever seen one with this particular design with the floral pattern. So it's very unique. And we'll go ahead and turn it up a little more. Now this uses a General Electric motor that's rated for 1 amp, as you saw in the instruction manual. It does have a bit of a wobble to it, as you've seen. It's a J-hook fan, so it's going to have a bit of wobble with any kind of sway. Extremely powerful. My God, this moves more air than the Casablancas I have in my house. And full blast. Now, I do not plan on using this original variable speed control because 1, it is noisy, and 2, I have this on a 4-speed control on the wall, which is a lot quieter. And I don't plan on reversing this either. I really don't reverse my bedroom fan because I need the downdraft to sleep. But I'm standing all the way back by my door here, and I can feel this as if I was standing right underneath it. This thing is ridiculously powerful. I'll show you the fan with the light off. Turn it back on. And now I'm going to demonstrate the other speeds on the 4-speed wall control. It's on max right now, so you can see that. Here's high, which would be a medium. I don't ever run my bedroom fans on high. It's just too much air movement for me. More than likely, this fan will get used on the 2nd and 3rd speeds on the wall control. There's medium here, which is really more like a low speed. There are a couple places in the Cleveland area or in the Northeast Ohio region where I have seen these in the wild. There's a restaurant in Cam's Corner neighborhood of Cleveland called Gene's Place that has two fully glass lighted housing ERS American Art Series fans. Now they have the brown and amber glass with the standard blade arms and not the Sunbeam ones. And those have different canopies. There's another place in Wooster, a restaurant called The Barn, that has two ERS fans. However, those were another custom job that was made for that restaurant because the motor housing is actually entirely made of wood. So ERS outfitted a couple of restaurants in the Wooster area too. There is another restaurant in the area around Wooster that has ERS fans. I cannot remember the name of it. However, it's like a family restaurant, I guess. And now we're going to turn this down all the way. And this is really the aesthetic restaurant speed. I'm really glad that I replaced the flywheel on this. Should get many more years to come out of this fan. Now the bearings are a little stiff considering that this fan had been sitting in its original box for 45 years. So more than likely I probably will not run it on this speed since it really doesn't move any air. It's more for looks. Probably will use it on medium and high on the control, which is speed 2 and 3. And we'll go ahead and shut it off. But yeah, there you have it. That is my 52-inch Energy Reduction Systems American Art Series ceiling fan that's installed in my bedroom. Hope you guys enjoyed. Keep watching. More videos to come.